good. Hello and welcome, genties and ladlemen. It is in fact your boy Draw for Death Metal here once again with Cracking the Shell episode 45. And today's episode I have the six-string sex god, Drew Cochrane of Catalysis. How are you doing, good sir?
Good, good. Very good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I'm off work, which finally we've been able to make this happen. Been talking about it a while, and just that's the shit thing with being adults. It's scheduling, and scheduling's terrible. I should get an
hmm
assistant. I mean, I technically do. That's her over there, but she's terrible at her job. So, you know.
Very cute, though.
She is very cute. Her name is Winnie. She is 4 years old. She's a miniature Jack Russell. And I'm also convinced she's part dragon because she hoards chews like a motherfucker.
Nice, nice.
But then never actually keeps her eye on them. And then my other dog, Scout, who you'll probably see at some point, just comes up and steals them. Just yoink.
That's dogs for you. That's dogs for you.
I do love them. I do love them, but
Oh, yeah, yeah.
if you want a quiet household, do not get Jack Russells. Don't do it. You will never sleep soundly again. Speaking of, no, wait, I thought that was my other one. Anyway, but this isn't a podcast. We talk about music. So,
Oh, what?
oh no, we
Um,
don't talk about dogs. I know that's it. He's out of here. That's it. Podcast cancelled. But anyway, so before we get into what's happening now and what's happening in the future, because I know we've got a lot to talk about in that regard. I'd quite like to hear, how did we get here? Kind of growing up, finding music, your first bands, all that kind of stuff. I do know of one project that you were in, Excellent Cadaver, but I don't really not know much beyond that. So I'd like to hear from it in your words.
so getting involved with music, my dad plays drums and played in like punk bands and stuff while I was growing up, and only really stopped playing in the past 2 or 3 years. So he was obviously he's more into punk, but he likes a bit of metal too, and I just grew up with that kind of stuff in the house. Um, and a lot of it was kind of you get into it by osmosis because it's just on around you. And then, like a lot of people, when I was a teenager, I started to kind of dig into it more and find bands that I liked because I liked them, not just because they were on in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and kind of, you know, buying the Roadrunner Records compilation CDs and checking out every band on them. And back in the day when you could go into FOP and pick up like they had the £5 metal section, so you just go in and fiver's not too much money. When you're a teenager, it's like a little bit, but it's not too much to lose if you buy something and it's a dud. Cough, cough, Marilyn Manson. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
um, I picked up a load of cool stuff that way and just kind of explored whatever. Found my favorite bands, and as a teenager, my favorite bands were kind of Korn and Machine Head and stuff, Chimera, and most of that still stands to this day. Don't I still love the older Korn stuff? Don't really check out anything they do now,
I mean,
because
I liked
it's shit.
Paradigm Shift was really good. Same with Serenity Suffering. After that, it kind of just didn't feel quite the same. I don't really know how to explain it, but I know
Yeah,
just the Nothing was all right. It wasn't
I
terrible.
I don't think I've ever really liked anything post Take a Look in the Mirror. Obviously, there's the odd song here or there, whatever that's cool.
But in terms of the whole
Um,
package, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like Take a Look in the Mirror was the last album I was like really into. There's a few cool songs on See You on the Other Side and stuff as well. But yeah, so I got into all that kind of stuff. First band actually started with me on vocals, and it was never got off the ground, never actually did any shows or anything, but it was a band called Brutal Demise. Typical teenage band, like I say, big aspirations, zero achievement. And it was actually the Ailstorm guitarist Danny Evans, who I think he
Hmm.
played on the first 4 or 5 albums. He was the guitar player. I was doing vocals, and just a bunch of other like local guys were in the band. And Danny left to start Ailstorm, basically, who were at that point called Battleheart. But he left, and I just assumed that it wouldn't be very difficult to just learn guitar to take over from him. I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll do it. We need a guitarist, I'll do it. And I thought that it'd be like a couple of weeks, and obviously that was extremely naive and ignorant and a bit arrogant or whatever. But that was kind of how I got started playing guitar. I always actually wanted to be a drummer because my dad was a drummer and stuff, but he always kind of suggested to me, you can't have a drum kit in the house and blah blah blah. So like if you play guitar or bass or whatever, you can practice more. You can, it's going to be better for you. So that's how I ended up on guitar. Kind of combination of my dad pushing me away from drums, and also Danny leaving the band I was in, and obviously, he went on to do huge stuff with Ailstorm, and he left them a bunch of years ago now. I don't know what he's doing.
I don't think he
But
did anything. I never really saw anything after he had left. Obviously, they got Bobo in and Dave became like massive, massive, but I don't recall
yeah,
seeing anything that Danny's done. Not that I've seen,
he
but
was doing tech work and stuff for a while because he was touring with
hmm.
Exodus at the tech for a bit. But I don't know. I've not seen him for years, so don't know what hope he's well. But no idea. But yeah, so that was kind of my first thing. And then my first like proper band that got off the ground and did some shows and stuff was a band called Excellent Cadaver. I was in that band from like 2008 to 2015, 16 I think we split up. And we kind of did like a bunch of stuff around Scotland and but it was very much still predominantly like local band vibes, kind of most of our shows, like 90% of our shows were probably in Dundee, and then it was like we play Edinburgh every now and then, or we play Glasgow every now and then, but it was like very much still like local band vibes. We did a bunch of cool stuff though, like we supported Chimera, who are like one of my all-time favorite bands. We supported Trivium in Fat Sam's in Dundee. I don't know if you've ever seen the infamous video of Matt Heafy's guitar falling over and the headstock coming off.
I can't say I have, but that sounds incredible.
That was the show we played with them. It was like the third or fourth show I ever played. So we went from playing to like 30 people in a pub to 1,000 people in a sold out Fat Sam's. Like, I tried to click my fingers, but I had something in my hand. Now I just look stupid. Edit that out. No, just leave it in. But
Yeah, it's
so we
completely seamless transition. Here's 30 people. Here's like 15 times that
yeah,
because I'm good at math.
and it was pretty daunting, but it was actually I think a really good thing to do quite early into my gigging career because it taught me how to deal with nerves or whatever that might come up from playing to a big crowd. So
Hmm.
it was kind of cool. Also, just absolutely mental. Like like I say, it was like the fourth show or something we ever played, and it was with one of my favorite bands. Again, they're another one that I don't really so much rate the stuff they do now, but Shogun and it was Shogun had just come out. Ascendance and stuff, obviously great albums, hugely influential to me as a guitarist and stuff. So it was like super cool. They were really really nice to us as well. So yeah, we did a bunch of that kind of stuff, and it just it was one of those things where over the years the lineup of the band changed a bunch of times, and it had like a few different, quite stable lineups that lasted a long time. And in the end, it just kind of fizzled out. We were spread across a bunch of different cities, and it just became more effort than it was worth,
Yeah.
So we just kind of called it a day. And I had been speaking to Callum, who is now the Catalysis drummer, about having a jam with him for a while. And his band split up and my band split up weeks apart. So we got into a jam room, and the first couple of Catalysis tracks were actually songs I'd written for Excellent Cadaver that just hadn't ever got as far as being recorded or played live or whatever. So I just kind of took the approach of when I write music, this is what it sounds like. So and these are my songs, I wrote them. So I'll just take them into the jam room for the new band. That rather than going into a room and being like, "Do you have any ideas?" No, not really. Do you? No, not really. It's easier to just go in with the full song, send it over to the guy you're going to be jamming with and be like, right, maybe you can work on this, change some parts up, put your spin on it and that. So yeah, so me and Callum started Catalysis because both of our previous bands had split up, and the early Catalysis lineup changed like a bunch of times really quickly because we brought in people that we didn't really know, and you kind of you do a couple of shows or a few jams with them and stuff, and chemistry is maybe not right. They're all nice dudes and stuff, but like chemistry wasn't right. So it's like just kind of took me a while to find like the right lineup. My friend Paul was our original guitar player. He was also an Excellent Cadaver for quite a few years. And he got a job where he was working night shifts and stuff, so he didn't end up lasting super long. So we brought in Sean Ramson, who was obviously a guitarist for like 6-7 years, something like that. One of my best friends, really lovely guy. He also briefly played an Excellent Cadaver. He played bass. Yeah, we just kind of worked our way through kind of different iterations of the band and stuff up until like 2020 when we got what you would maybe call the classic lineup together. which was like when we did like the Relicta and Innova EPs, and then the Betrayer record, and then after Betrayer we had a pretty big lineup change, and as it happened, we ended up bringing in Downey, who was actually the singer in Excellent Cadaver. So we basically completed the set of Excellent Cadaver in Catalysis now. We've pretty much had everybody. But yeah, so we brought him in. He was actually supposed to fill in for us for a couple of shows anyway, and he'd already been learning the songs and stuff. And he had done a bunch of our music videos before. He'd done loads of like graphic stuff and that, and he was like, he's one of my good friends. We've been friends for years, and he's taken 7-8 years away from doing anything to do with music. And I think learning the songs to fill in for those shows that he was supposed to fill in for kind of reignited that passion. So when the lineup change happened, it was just a total no-brainer. Like, hey, see how you already know a bunch of our songs and would quite like to be in the band anyway. You want to just be in the band?
You want to be in? You just want to do it, and he's just like, yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty seamless in that sense. Same with our current bass player, Roby. He was in Volcano X from Dundee as well. They split up, and they split up right about the time that our bass player left. So the Catalysis lineup change, I kind of covered this when we put up posts online and stuff after it, but from the outside it might have looked like 3 people left at once, but that's not really what happened. And I did kind of explain this at the time, but I might as well explain it again unless I'm waffling too much.
Nah, go on. That's what this podcast is all about, man.
But so basically, what happened was our bass player told us at one of our shows that like tonight's going to be my last show, which is like, oh, okay, cool. Like, you know, we're good friends and stuff, so it was like no hard feelings.
There's no drama or no stupid shit. It's just I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a bit left field. Didn't really expect it, but it was like, okay, cool, no worries, man. You know, are you up for doing the remaining shows we've got booked until we find someone else or whatever? And so my thinking on that is, it's always better to, if you're posting on social media and stuff, it's always better to post something positive than something negative, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So rather than post, our bass player has left, I thought, he's left, let's not post about it yet, let's find a new bass player, and instead of being like, here's a bad thing that's happened, we can be like, here's a good thing that's happened, you know, here's the new guy, we're still friends with the old guy, we wish him the best in the future. You know, you've seen the bands make these kind of
yeah, 100%.
That's the best way to handle the situation. But in the time in between we were looking for a new bass player, our other guitar player, Sean, decided it was time for him to leave as well. Basically, he had like a super high pressure job. He used to travel back and forth to all the shows and rehearsals and stuff with the bass player because they both lived in Perth. So he was going to be traveling on his own. He had a whole load of like work and personal life stuff going on that. So he was like, yeah, I think it's time for me to leave too. And then off the back of that, me, our drummer Callum, and our old vocalist had some conversations. And our vocalist initially said he was going to stay on, and you know, look for a new guitarist. Like, keep me in the loop. You guys audition people and see if they've got a musical fit, and then we'll look at personality fit in that later. So it was like, oh, cool, whatever. And then out of nowhere, he dropped the bombshell on us that he wasn't going to stick about, which is like, again, you know, people can do what they want. That's totally fine. The way he did it was kind of shitty, and I've not really talked about this publicly before. So our old bass player, old guitar player, they're like, we'll cover all the shows we booked that we agreed to. You know, it would be great if you could find somebody else to do them so that we don't have to. But like,
we will.
We'll cover
100%.
Yeah. The singer was like, I think it would be better for our friendship if I didn't do these upcoming shows, which is like, for me, kind of a weird way to do it, you know.
That is a weird way to put it. Yeah, that is weird.
I think the best thing to do for your friendship, and this is not just to do with bands or anything, is like to not put your friends.
Don't back out of things that you've like arranged to do.
You know, like we had a bunch of shows that we'd committed to. Most of them were like down south, like kind of big. Not, I don't mean big like download, but like kind of big Beermageddon, all day or type festivals that are going to be busy and stuff. Kind of shows where you don't want to burn the bridges with those promoters by pulling out fairly last minute and whatever. So basically, like I say, Downey, the current vocalist and also the singer from my old band, he's been learning the songs anyway for the stuff he was meant to fill in for. And so he basically thought his first show was going to be, I can't remember, he thought his first show was going to be Beermageddon, like doing the fill-in stuff. Because he was always going to be filling in for that show even before the lineup change. But it ended up being like massively accelerated. And I was like, by the way, your first show's like next week. Can you learn the rest of the songs now?
Yeah.
I smashed it, to be fair. Like, it was cool, you know. And I'm still like really, really good friends with Sean. Good friends with Tabs too, bass player. We don't speak to the singer anymore, which is, you know, whatever. These things happen. But yeah, I'm still super good friends with Sean. Like, Sean, I saw him like 2 days ago to drop off guitars. He does all my guitar setups and stuff. Like, I've put his band Visha, who are a great band, on a bunch of my Metal Fest shows and stuff. So like, still totally good friends. Actually, we did the Metal Fest in December. The last song of the set, we did it with three guitars, and we got Sean up to do it as well. So we had like our current lineup plus Sean
Yeah.
for one of the last songs, just like for good vibes, bit of banter and stuff, you know. So yeah, so that's kind of us up to modern era Catalysis, and I think like it's awesome, and we're all really happy, and there's no stress or tension or drama in the band. Stuff just seems to flow
Yeah.
smoothly. Everybody's like planning stuff super easy. So it's great. Like, it's in a good place. We've got exciting stuff happening. So
It is, and it's really good to hear that, especially yeah,
yeah,
especially when everywhere you look, it's like, oh, our singer's a dick and he's left or whatever, and it's always just like negativity and all that kind of thing. It's nice and refreshing to hear that, well, yeah, these lineup shifts have happened. It's like you're still friends and all that kind of stuff. It beats the whole, oh, we're not talking to anybody again, or even worse, the dreaded deathcore moments. Um, but obviously with such a big lineup shift, obviously it hasn't happened all immediately, but after the release of Betrayer, what was your kind of mindset, both yours individually and what you could kind of sense with everybody else going into The Only Way Out Is Through?
Well, I mean, it was obviously like quite a big change because we released Betrayer. The record was getting great feedback from people. We were being offered stuff like the Armageddon and all these kind of shows and stuff, and then the lineup change happened.
Mm.
And it's a bit of a weird one because I think that if the lineup change hadn't happened, we'd have probably ridden the Betrayer wave for a bit longer because the record came out in December 23, and the lineup change kind of happened, I don't know, like summer 24. And so by the time the lineup change happened, we got the new guys in and stuff, and obviously we learned, or I say we, like obviously I already knew the stuff, but the new guys, we basically worked out what stuff we were going to want to play live and learned that stuff. And obviously we had a huge back catalogue, and the old lineup, we could kind of pick and choose what we wanted to play based on the show or whatever, because we kind of all knew most of it.
Mm.
But we kind of focused on like, okay, beer Beermageddon's like a 45-minute set or something, so it was like, right, let's get 45 minutes of stuff together and get it solid. But actually, what happened was Jamie, our guitar player, when he auditioned, before he actually auditioned, he sent me 3 songs that he'd written in the style of Catalysis. So he was like, I want to show you, as well as being able to like learn the stuff you've already got,
Mm.
which realistically, any half decent guitarist could do. It's a lot easier to learn something that's already there than to come up with something of your own, right? So he wanted to show that he could join the
He
band
could
and
write
not
and
just
contribute and stuff.
yeah, exactly. He wouldn't just be a passenger. He could contribute and stuff. And so one of those songs ended up being Lazarus, which was obviously the first single of The Only Way It Was Through. And he wrote that song, sent over the demo and stuff. And basically, that, like I say, that was before he even actually auditioned, which was totally mental. I was like, this guy is fucking hired. So I took Lazarus. There was like a couple of things like really really minor changes that I made, just like shifting a couple of notes about, like not changing the feel of anything of that, but just
Mm-hmm.
shifting a couple of notes to make it like more in keeping with like the scales and stuff we typically use to keep it like more tied to our sound. Like it was like pretty there already, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Callum rewrote the drums to be like how he would play. But because we'd already got this set of existing stuff down, it kind of felt like it was important to put something out quickly, because
Mm.
when a band has a lineup change and stuff, it's like sometimes like if a band just changes guitar player, just changes bass player or whatever, sometimes it doesn't really affect the sound that much. But when you change singer and you change guitarist and you change bass player, I think there's like a will it even sound the same? Like, is it even going to
Yeah,
be good?
100%. Yeah.
Is the new vocalist going to suck? Like, all this different stuff. And so uh, it seemed quite important to put something out quite quickly. And the original idea was we would just do Lazarus as a single. So we did that, and we wanted, like I say, we wanted that out quickly so that we could be like, this is what we sound like now. Here's new photos and blah 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 blah. But in the time it took us to like properly record Lazarus and like get it mixed and everything like that, we basically wrote the rest of the Only Way Out Is Through EP because you know we'd gone from like it's like a roller coaster thing. We're like up here because we've released Betrayer and everybody's buzzing because the record's like being received well. We've done finals and all this stuff. And then the lineup change happens and it's like down here and you don't even know if the band's going to continue in that. And then these new guys come in and they pick the stuff up super quick and you play shows and the people are like, yeah, actually the new lineup's good. Like this is still fine. And like don't get me wrong, those first few shows now looking back were pretty rocky compared to our current level of live performances. But we'd only had like 6 weeks or something to get to that point. Now we've had a year and a half of playing shows together, building chemistry and stuff. So it's like more of a vibe. But so we got it together quickly and we put out the Lazarus single. It was really well received and stuff as well. And yeah, so we had these other songs and we were just riding the high of like the fact there was this new chemistry and new energy, and everybody was excited about being in the band because it was like once everybody's been in the band for like 5, 6, 7 years and stuff, people start to get not complacent, but stuff starts to be a pain in the arse. Like going to practice, you're like, go to practice, play the same songs we always play. Like whereas when it's new guys, everybody's like totally up for it. And first few shows we did were all kind of busy, all day type events. So new guys have come in, first few shows are killer, like good shows, good audiences and stuff. So they're all fired up. So it's like, well, on the one hand, like we should really still push the Betrayer record because it's only been out for fucking 6 or 7 months. And on the other hand, it's like, well, we have all this new material, we're all excited about it, and also
Let's
the
play
new
that.
material. Yeah, and it's going to be more representative of where we are as a band now, with the new guys involved and a new vocalist. Which, like to me, I don't even really think the sound of the band has changed massively. Like obviously
I
there are
wouldn't say so
differences.
either from like a fan perspective. Yeah, there are some things with like different vocal ranges and like styles of leads and stuff like that that have changed, but I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. It's different, not a bad thing.
And
And I
I
was
think when
actually just listening to no, on you go. Sorry.
no, I think as well, like when it's different, it's like it's different, but it's not like fundamentally different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's still like very much adjacent to what was going on before. Like it's still melodic. It's still got quite a lot of groove. Still a lot of thrash. Like still kind of metalcore in places, but like also I I don't really think of us as a metalcore band. Some people seem to, some people don't. But like I don't think that like the core thing has changed. Like like our old singer, he did like a lot more like death metally lows and stuff in places. But I do quite a lot of vocals like that on the new EP, and on Only Way Out Is Through. And like most of our old singers' vocals were quite kind of shouty, like
Hmm.
Jamie Jasta type vibe, and that's the same story with our new singer. Like the vibe, it's pretty rhythmic. It's like quite shouty, kind of hardcore or new wave of American heavy metal, like that kind of vibe. And so I don't think it's changed that much. So,
No, it's just oi, you know. Speaking of our co-host, there's the other one. That right there is Scout. She is two. She is, we think, a miniature Jack Russell, but she's got like twice the leg space of Winnie, who is over there. So we're like, is she? We don't really know, but either way, she's a wee fucking gremlin. He needs to shut the fuck up. Anyway, so yeah, definitely fundamentals are still there as somebody that's like a fan of the band. The fundamentals are still there. There's definitely, like, especially on the previous EP and this new one that we'll talk about in a moment, there's definitely a more kind of melodic sensibility to Downey's vocals. And I was actually
yeah,
just listening to that Excellent Cadaver record, and hearing what he's done on like this new material, and then he's really, I think, came into his own.
Yeah.
100%. I would say he's came into his own and he's improved massively from then because that album was what, 2012, I think?
Yeah,
2013?
well, most of it was written in about like sort of 2008.
Hmm.
But yeah, like recorded and released 2012. Um, yeah, it's really curious because, like I say, when that band split up in 2016, he did no music for like 7 or 8
Ages.
years,
Yeah.
which is like, oh, do you think if I don't play guitar for 7 years, if I pick it up again, I'll just be much better than I used to be for no apparent reason? But yeah, no,
Could be
I
something
think
to that.
Downey's vocals are excellent. One thing I will say is, especially when you're talking about studio recordings, the technology and stuff for bands on a budget has come on a lot.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like like I guess it's not apples and oranges comparison, but like when we recorded the Excellent Cadaver album, we were recording it in a studio. We were paying £25 an hour or whatever. We were trying to keep it as like we didn't have the chance to fuck about
Home,
so much with
yeah,
layers.
home recording wasn't the big thing that it is
Yeah,
now. You actually had to go into a studio and you had to be very locked in and just hammer out the material as opposed to, oh, what if we like did that or if we like added
yeah.
this thing or took that out or whatever. You didn't have a chance to.
Whereas now I record everything, other than the drums, which means that we have essentially infinite time to get it right type thing. But you're definitely right. Like he has improved. I think what I actually had the Excellent Cadaver album on a couple of weeks ago for the first time in years as well. And I think that, there's a lot of like quite hooky, good choruses on there, but there's a lot of like fairly questionable songwriting.
Hmm.
But it was also a long time ago, so I think it's like it's easier for Downey to write better vocals to better songs. I know
Yeah.
I've improved massively as a guitar player since we did that record. So, but one thing I do know is that we always had good chemistry. Like it's you know working with Downey on the new record, like the new EP. When we were tracking the vocals and stuff, there was a lot of collaboration where we'd record a section, we'd listen to it back, and we'd be like, that line doesn't really flow right, and we would take out like just a the or an or like little words that don't really mean anything to the lyrics. They're there anyway, and we take them out and just like adjust the pattern and whatever. And it was really fun doing that. So I used to track with our old vocalist, and he was so obstinate about like we can't take out the word there because it fundamentally changes the meaning of the sentence, and then nobody will understand my lyrics. And I'm like, man, it's a fucking metal song. Nobody's gonna understand them anyway.
Yeah.
And he was like really, really, really like protective about his lyrics. Didn't want anybody else involved or contributing and stuff.
Hmm.
Whereas like working with Downey on the vocal recordings and stuff, super fun because we just bounce ideas back and forward, and we're like, what if we change this word to that? Oh fuck yeah, that does flow better, and it's just like a good vibe. It's for me like kind of fulfilling the producer role. It's really rewarding doing a session like that where you're trying different stuff and it's working out. The person you're working with receptive to it and stuff as well. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So yeah, it's sick.
It is really good. And obviously, with The Only Way Out is Through kind of being everybody's kind of first taste of the new lineup, what
Mm-hmm.
was your kind of mindset going from that EP to Serpentine?
So I mean, I guess with both of these EPs, there was never really like a specific plan that they were even going to be EPs or whatever. So like I say, we did Lazarus, and then it was like, well, fuck, we've got these other new songs too. We should just put them out. And then when it came to doing the Serpentine EP, it was kind of like a little bit the same thing. We'd kind of spoken about maybe doing another full length. Um, and then we'd also debated going down the route of just releasing singles and not doing like a bigger collection of stuff. And like we kind of gone back and forward on a lot of stuff. And then we settled on 6 songs that were going to be on the Serpentine EP. And then later we decided that we weren't actually really that happy with one of them, so we ended up canning that. But what's quite curious is the song Damocles from this EP was actually written before we recorded the last EP. So like, and Serpentine was written before either of these EPs. It was written when we had the previous lineup, like the instrumental was written and stuff. and obviously it's had rewrites and like little bits of redrafting. But yeah, we kind of looked at it. We're like, I think that for a band of our size, being able to release new material quite frequently helps like keep people interested and stuff, you know. Because if you have a new EP coming out, you can promote the shows around it as like EP release shows. You can try and get like a little bit of extra buzz around it and all that kind of stuff. Also, just keeps you in people's minds because it's so easy nowadays with streaming and stuff. You hear a band once or twice, you think that's fucking great. You listen to the record for 2-3 weeks and then like you just forget about it. You listen to it 2-3 weeks because you get in the car and it's like recently played, so you just hit that because it's easier than looking for something when you're just going to drive. And then you do that for a bunch of, and then you're like, fuck me, I've heard this record so many times in the past few weeks. So then you stop putting it on, and then you just completely forget it exists. Back in the day, you would download it, it'd be on your iPod, whatever, and then one day you'd be sitting there, you'd be like, oh, I don't know what I want to listen to. You'd scroll through your iPod on and you'd see, like, fucking, I haven't listened to that for ages, and you put it on. Whereas now, like, I know personally, I just end up listening to the same shit all the time because I just, I open up the streaming app, it's there, and if I have to think what I want to listen to, I just fall back into like the old classics and favorites. So I think like releasing new stuff keeps people interested, keeps you on their mind and stuff. So we thought, okay, let's just do another EP. Like I say, we were originally going to do 6 tracks, and then we decided that it was actually probably better to do 5 and like make sure it was 5 that we're really happy with rather than like 6.
Yeah, 100%. You don't want any filler stuff.
And like I say, that song that we canned off this EP, I can almost guarantee it will be on whatever we release next. But it won't be on that thing we release next in the same form it was in, when it was
you'll look back at it when you're getting ready for the next thing, and it'll be like, right, what can we change about this that we didn't really think it would fit with Serpentine? What would make it fit with this thing? That kind of thing.
Yeah, like I say, Damocles off this record was actually written for the last record. And then it was kind of the same thing where I was like, just like it's good. There's a lot of riffs in it that I like, but overall, I'm just not
buzzing about it.
And so Damocles got like a bunch of rewrites. I think I cut like 2 minutes out of the song, which is mad because it's still quite a long song. We restructured a couple of things, changed the verses up, and now it's killer. Probably the best chorus on the record for this record. Super fun song, very thrashy, very Machine Heady, like that kind of vibe, like lots of harmonic riffs and stuff.
Good. I do like me some harmonics. I'm very glad to hear the Machine Head references in your music, but mainly like Machine Head when they were good, not what they're doing.
Yeah. That's my goal, but recapture the vibe of Machine Head when they were not, well, when it wasn't the Rob Flynn project.
Yeah, pretty much. We just don't talk about I've forgotten the name of the record. It was that bad. It was that one with like the weird like curled over woman with spikes in it or whatever it was.
Oh, are you thinking of Catharsis?
Yeah, that's the one. I don't know why. It felt like if Limp Bizkit, like if Fred Durst was a Machine Head.
Yeah, it's a shame because there's like a bunch of songs on that record that are quite good that are ruined by like a section that's just
like I think Volatile's a banger. They open up with that and you're thinking, oh hell yeah, it's gonna kick ass, got beat you in the face, and then just
a banger, but there's Volatile I think is a banger for like 3 minutes, and then it gets to this breakdown riff where the vocal just goes, it's like break it, smash it, burn it to the ground or something, but it repeats so many times and it's super boring. And then the riff comes back in at the end of the song, and like for me, that takes like quite
you've just lost me, yeah.
And it just like and he could have done any number of things that could have made that better. He could have written 3 or 4 lines and then just like alternated through them, or he could have mixed up the phrasing of it, but like it's just like the same. It sounds copy and pasted, and like it's super fucking lazy for me. And to think that the same person who wrote something that was like the Blackening that's got fucking billions of layers and all these ambitious parts and stuff wrote that like phoned in crap. There's some. The best song on Catharsis is probably the acoustic ballady song, Behind the Mask, which is ludicrous. And obviously, Machine Head have always written like good kind of ballady stuff, Darkness Within, Descent of Shades of Night and stuff. But like it probably is the best song on the album, and it doesn't even, and it's not like their traditional kind of acoustic ballady shit where it also has a big heavy bit and a solo. Like it's an acoustic song, so it doesn't it doesn't sound like a Machine Head song, but it's a great song.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't
no,
even think I made it that far into the record. I got maybe halfway through and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
there's a couple of absolute slammers on there. Like there's a song called Psychotic that's got some really cool parts. There's like I say, that Behind the Mask, the acoustic one, amazing song, like genuinely a really, really great track. There's a song called Hope Begets Hope that sounds really kind of through the Ashes of Empires era, except that there's a bit where there's a really annoying cowbell like through a riff, and I'm like, why the fuck would you put that in a cowbell?
I know.
That's what I'm saying. There's loads of the songs on it are like 90% good, and like one bit just fucking wrecks the song for me. Anyway, fuck talking about their record. Talk about our record.
Yeah, let's talk about the new Catalysis EP, Serpentine, which comes out April 17th. I will have links to everything down below where you can get some snazzy threads and some CDs if you still like them for some reason. And yeah, so when coming up with kind of lyrical themes, art themes, titles, or that kind of stuff, is it a really collaborative process? Does everybody kind of go, oh, what about this? Or what about this? Or is it just kind of one person doing everything?
No, it's pretty collaborative, and I'll give you an exclusive as to where the EP title and stuff came from, because it's actually funny as fuck, because it's the most crap origin story. So if you're in a band or whatever, you will know that probably 5 or 6 times a day you'll get people messaging you, offering you artwork and t-shirt designs, like
I
pre-drawn.
still get, I get that. It's weird.
Yeah,
I
so
get it. You know what I mean?
right? There's this Indonesian guy that's fucking absolutely sick art, like loads of cool stuff. I think we'd had t-shirts from him before, can't remember, because like loads of them have about 8 profiles with different names, but it's actually the same guy, and that's hard to keep track of. Anyway, this guy had this design with a snake on it. It was cool as fuck design, and he was selling it off cheap. Like it was like it was like originally $100. He's selling it for $50. I can't remember the numbers, but whatever. This guy had this design with a snake on it and that. So I bought the t-shirt design so that we could use it. Let's have some merch at some point. It's a cool design. We'll do something with that. And then I said to our singer, I was like, man, this t-shirt design, the snake thing, why don't you write a song that's like a serpent, I'm shedding my skin, or like that kind of vibe. And he was like, okay, I can do that. So he went away and wrote these lyrics and stuff. Obviously we already had like the instrumental demos for a bunch of the new stuff and stuff. So he wrote these lyrics and stuff, and he's like, right, that one's the snake song. And I was like, oh, okay, sick. And we jammed it and stuff. So the title track, Serpentine, literally was written because I bought a t-shirt design with the snake on it. I was like, go and write a song about and like there's some meat to the lyrics. There's still some meaning behind it. It's about people that come into your life and use you and abuse you and then cast you off like it's the way a snake sheds its skin or whatever. Like, so there's still some meaning behind it, and it's like still personal. But like the inspiration to use that as a topic was legitimately that I bought a t-shirt design with a snake on it for the band to use. So that's where the title came from. And we decided we wanted to do something this time where all of the songs were going to have one-word titles. Just because it's snappy. I don't know. Like, it was just like a weird, stupid artistic choice. We decided we wanted to do that. Like,
yeah.
The only way it was through, it's like so wordy and like, if you're writing on a set list, you can fucking abbreviate it. And like, so we're just like, everything's going to have a one-word title this time. So, but Serpentine, the title, came from buying that t-shirt design. And then we basically looked at the 5 one-word titles we had and was like, which one of these is the coolest word to use as like the title of the overall release? Because I think, frustratingly, I think this is probably like what I would say is the definitive Catalysis sound. Like it really does. I know every band says that about every record, but like this is our second record with a new lineup. I feel like it's taken what we've done before across like, I don't know, 5 EPs and 2 albums or whatever the fuck we've got out. And I feel like it's kind of distilled that to its essence, and like we're doing the best version of the thrashy bits, the best version of the melodic bits, So I would really like to have had the EP be self-titled, but stupid me in 2017 decided to use the 2018. We already did a self-titled EP. So I was like, well, can't do that. So we was like, well, let's just pick one of these words and run with it. So that's how it became Serpentine. And then the other songs lyrically, Tremors is just about fucking struggling, you know, dealing with inner demons and problems and like fucking anxieties and things like that. Deathblow, we've not really been super clear about what that's about publicly yet. But basically it's about all these kind of right-wing mouthpieces that they convince people that they're their saviors in knights in shining armor, and all they do is they want to use these people and abuse them, get their votes, get their money and whatever, and then like trample over them and fucking make their lives worse, basically. Specifically, it's about Charlie Kirk, and it was written song like musically it was already done, and it was in the kind of we need to do some writing lyrics or whatever. And it was like the day after Charlie Kirk got shot, Downey wrote it, and he wrote it in like one sitting. He, usually like stuff gets written and then like tweak a few lines here and there and whatever, or well, actually I don't really like that verse, so I'm going to redraft it. But like that song was written and like lyrically it was like written in like 45 minutes, and it was the day after Charlie Kirk got shot. And it's basically about the fact he's a cunt. The chorus lyrics, the no more words, you make me sick, and then no more words, you fucking prick. It's kind of no more words because you're dead, asshole. Is the vibe. The song ends with the line, "Your last words dripping from your exit wound," which was like I thought was a pretty fucking. It's like when you say it out loud like that, it's like a bit cornball, but in the context of the song with the big breakdown and stuff, I think it goes pretty hard.
I think that'd be good. I think that's a really sick breakdown call out. I think it's really sick. I think the song's sick, and it's been really cool to get an insight into your process, because as somebody that kind of dabbles in writing, it's always good to kind of just kind of get an insight as to like how things come together, how quickly things can inspire you. Like there's been times where I'll be in work and sat in the toilet, and I'm just like, oh, quickly get my phone out and fucking like just write stuff down. So completely get it, and it's interesting to hear that some stuff can take weeks and then something's done in less than an hour.
Yeah, like Tremors, the verses were like done. We demoed them, we were happy with them and stuff, and like when we came to do the final tracking down, he was like, "I've changed all the verses," because he didn't have like.
Oh yeah, everything's different, and you're just like, what?
Pairs or whatever, and he was like, it's just not sitting. So he rewrote them, and like it turned out for the better. Like it was totally. And sometimes when you've been listening to the demo a particular way for like weeks, months, whatever, and then something gets changed, you're like, oh, is that right? Should we have changed that? But like, it was right, and it's worked out great. You know what I mean? Like I fucking love Tremors. I think it might be my favorite Catalysis track, period, because it's just groove, all groove. So yeah, and then Damocles, it's just kind of, I guess the story of Damocles with the sword over his head, kind of that, the feeling of impending doom and whatever. And what's the other song? Futile. Futile's like more of a personal song, like for Downey, I guess. Not so much me. More of a relationshipy, like emotional thing. Not like a evil thing.
Yeah. I think every kind of core leaning band has that one kind of song where it's like almost a kind of love song, but it's a love song about like getting drained, that kind of thing. I think every band needs like that kind of thing, which listening to the new singles and funnily enough also the excellent Cadaver record, the first thing that popped in my head was Caliban, if you remember Caliban.
So Downey is a big Caliban fan. I am not. They were one of those bands that I felt like I couldn't escape when I was a teenager, where like every show I went to, they seemed to be the support band. Like they were just on the tour with fucking everyone, and I wasn't really into them. But yeah, Downey loves Caliban, so you'll be.
Well, there you go, Downey. If you're listening to this, congratulations, you've aped one of your favorite bands.
Yeah, and then I think like Futile, it's quite funny because if we were a signed band or whatever, and we put the 5 tracks to a label, and they were picking the singles, I fucking guarantee that Futile would be the first single they picked, because it's got like a big, catchy, sing-along, radio-friendly chorus. And we went, no, we'll go for the heavy, groovy one and the thrashy one about right-wingers getting shot, please. That's the singles for us. Thanks very
You know
much.
what? I think that's the better decision because that's something that I think all of us can relate to is just fucking get rid of them. So yeah, good
Yeah, but
choice.
you know, like the friendly radio single type song's still on the record, so you can still hear it. But like, and I think it's a great song. I really like it, but I don't necessarily know that it's like, if I was to, you know, the old, like, if you had to pick one song to play to somebody to like show them a band, like, so
Yeah,
they would
yeah,
get
yeah.
that band, like, I don't think that would be the song to do that with. And it's like, it's a great song. I fucking love it. Of course, I love it. I wrote it. But you know, like I just think that, like, to symbolize what we are as a, it still sounds like us. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't sound like us or that either. But, you know, to symbolize what we are as a band, it's not something I would pick to be putting forward as like that. This is what we sound like. You know. But
Yeah,
like I say, it's
100%.
it still sounds like us, but it's not like, it's more melodic than we would usually be, probably.
It's like
But there's
showing
also
somebody Metallica and then giving them King Nothing.
yeah, exactly, man. Like, it's exactly. You know, it's still fucking. It's still fast. It's like 200 BPM. There's blast beats and shit in there. You know, it's like, it's not like an emo song or anything. It's still like fucking metal, but
Yeah,
it's got a catchy chorus.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with
I'm
that. We
excited.
can have a wee sing along, and then a few seconds later, we'll all be punching each other in the face.
Exactly, the best way.
It's like the Thanos meme where it's just like perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But is there any speaking of how are you planning and obviously the EP's coming out the 17th of April and then there'll be
Mm-hmm.
live shows ahead. How much of the EP do you think would fit in, I suppose, your kind of standard support slot and then a headline slot?
This is a burning question every time. You know, not just with this lineup or like, this is the burning question every time you've got new material. You're like, how much new stuff do we play? Because, you know, at the end of the day, we're not Metallica, we're not Iron Maiden or whatever. So realistically, most people probably don't give a fuck what we play live. You know, there'll be a few people that come to see us super regularly and whatever, and they'll be excited to hear this new song, or they'll be like, "Oh, what the fuck? You stopped playing that song?" Um, but I guess like one of the benefits of being like an underground band is you don't have this like rabid fan base that's going to dog you for not playing this thing, or, you know, for whatever. Most shows we get like a half-hour set. Normally in a half-hour set we manage to fit like 7 songs in. So we probably do like 3 off the new record. I think the idea would be to kind of do 3 off the new records, 2 off The Only Way Out Is Through, and then 2 off like some older stuff. But like, it's not quite as scientific as that, or, you know, it's not quite as like exact as that. It's not going to be hard and fast. Like, well, you have to do 3 from this. Like, you know, I guess like if we were to be on a bill where we were by far the lightest band, then we'd probably aim to just look at what stuff we all know and pick the heaviest set we could. Or if we were the heaviest band on a bill, like we're playing Call of the Wild Festival, and I think we are almost certainly one of the heaviest bands on the bill. There's a couple other metal bands and stuff, but like, you know, at that one, maybe we should lean more into the melodic songs. So like, we'll build up the set list pragmatically based on that. But like, I think the other thing for me is that, at least initially, I always find that new songs are quite not hard to play live because you can't play them, because obviously I wrote them, recorded them, whatever, so like I can play them. But like, when you play those kind of old favorite songs you've played a fucking million times, you can play them on stage without even thinking about it. You know exactly what bits you can headbang and windmill. You know what bits you need to kind of rein that in and like focus on what you're playing. Like, and it's just all kind of dialed in and locked in. And when you're playing new stuff, it takes you like a little while, a couple of shows to figure that out. And a bunch of the shows we have coming up are quite big shows, like Call of the Wild, which is like a big, kind of big-ish open air festival down south. We're going to be playing a couple of shows in Spain in May and stuff as well. We've got a couple of other like all day or festival type shows in summer. So it's really difficult because it's like, do you lean into playing the older stuff like a safety blanket because you know that you can play it and you know, this is the bit where we can do the stage moves and this is the bit where we can like. So yeah, it's a tough one, but I think like given that we now have 2 EPs with this current lineup, I think we really want to favour the material from those EPs live, because it more accurately reflects who we are and where we are as a band. You know, we are currently talking again. This is like a little exclusive, but we're a small band, so nobody gives a fuck about exclusives. But I'll tell you anyway. We're talking about doing like a 10-year Catalysis show next year, because next year will be 10 years of the band. I mean, technically this year will be 10 years of the band, but like next year will be 10 years since the first EP came out. So we're talking about doing a 10-year show and playing stuff spanning the entire catalogue, even the first EP that we basically pretend doesn't exist. You know, so we're talking about doing stuff like that. So like we'll always play some old stuff. It's just, you know, when you're talking about like, we're all guys with day jobs and all the rest of it. So like if we want to get stuff show ready and tight, we have like the new stuff we've just recorded and stuff, or we have there's this deep cut we've not played from 3 records ago or whatever. Like, which one do you put the time into to get it like ready to be on stage? And it feels more sensible to kind of go towards the newer stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Is there a deep cut that you kind of wish you could bring back? Something like, oh, I've not played this in like fucking forever. Is there something that you'd like really like to sneak in or something like that?
There's 2 songs that come to mind for me that I fucking love, and they're both actually on the same EP. One is Forgiven, Not Forgotten, which is like just groovy as fuck, but quite fast and groovy. It's like just vicious. We used to play it live all the time with the previous lineup, and it was just one of the ones that kind of slipped between the cracks because it's like one of the trickier ones to play and stuff. So when we were trying to get a set together with the new lineup and we had to do it in a really restricted amount of time, it made sense to kind of focus on some of the stuff that was easier to play. Not because of the abilities of the new guys with that, but like if you're going to have to learn 10 songs in 3 weeks or whatever to a point you can play them live, it's going to be easier with 10 easier songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Forgiven, Not Forgotten. To me, it always bugs me that song wasn't a single. It should have been. Like, I think, and I'm sure, like, our old guitar player Sean and stuff would agree. I fucking love that song. And there's another one off the same EP called The Point of No Return, which is another, like, quite fast but really groovy song. And it's got this, like, odd time signature thing in the verse, but I just fucking love it. It grooves really hard. And yeah, like I'd really like to play that one again live. But again, it's like you got a 30-minute set. Do we dig out this deep cut, get everybody to spend the time learning it, spend the time practicing it and stuff, or do we just fucking play the new shit that we all wrote together and we're all excited about? So
it is a difficult thing, especially with a band that has such a vast catalogue as you guys. I can definitely see why it would be difficult. Is there a song that you currently play live that you just kind of like, can we stop now? Is there one that you're just like, can we stop?
Not really. Certainly not. Obviously, I can't speak for everybody else. From my perspective, the song that was like that for a long time was Connection Lost.
Oh, there goes one of my favorites.
Yeah, but this is exactly why we continue to play it, because it's like, of all the Catalysis stuff, it's like probably one of the most straightforward songs. I don't mean that like we're proggy or really weak, but like a lot of the songs, especially from the era when Cole was the singer, like the vocals and stuff are rapid fire. There's like so much to it, and like the phrasing and stuff's really weird. Connection Lost is like quite straight to the point, and it's quite easy to like latch onto and stuff. And I think a lot of people connected with it because of that. Ironically, a lot of people connected with Connection Lost. But yeah, so this lineup played Connection Lost like a fair bit until The Only Way Out Is Through EP was like actually out, and then like we still play it on a longer set, but it's kind of been removed from the set now. It's not to say we'll never play it again. We all know it and whatever, but that was definitely one for me where I was like, could we just fucking stop? That song had like a really frustrating process recording it. We were finishing up the guitars for that during COVID, and we couldn't do it together. And me and Sean were driving each other mental because he'd be like, "There's something wrong going on in this bit," and I was like, "I can't hear it," and it was just like back and forward, and I think it just fucking ruined that song for me. Like I think in the entire time he was in the band, that was the only time me and Sean had a proper argument about something because like we're just both extremely passionate people. So yeah, I think, and it's annoying because I always advocated for that to come out of the set. Like as soon as it was like, oh, what should we take out? It's like, let's get Connection Lost, and everybody else like, nah, but the crowd loves it, and oh, fucking fine, I guess we'll carry on playing it, So yeah, fuck off, Connection Lost.
Yeah.
See you later.
Well, you know what? It's a good thing that like the new stuff is slamming. Absolutely. I just got finished listening to like Tremors and Deathblow, and I can tell you, you don't need to worry if you like your big stinky breakdowns. There's some big stinky breakdowns, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more on the new EP, which, funnily enough, comes out on April 17th. I love the shameless plug. But before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to kind of shamelessly plug, blather about, anything like that?
I guess we're talking plugs. We plug the fact that obviously the EP's out 17th of April. There's pre-orders and stuff up available. Obviously, you've said you're going to link that. We're doing our release show in Dundee on the 18th at Dundee Metal Fest, which is like a stacked lineup. Loads of good bands on there. Iron Altar from Edinburgh, fucking amazing band. One of the best sounding records I've ever heard from an underground band comes from Iron Altar as well. So they're on there. There's a new thrash band from Perth featuring guys that used to play in Black and Ritual and stuff, so like really established guys on the Scottish scene. Killscythe, they're going to be on the lineup. Man-Made Origin, who kind of opethy proggy stuff, like great band as well. So that's happening in Dundee on the 18th. And I guess the only other thing to plug would be, please consider whether it's us or any other underground band, if they've got pre-orders and stuff happening, and you want to buy the record and you're going to buy it at some point, please consider doing the pre-order because everything to do with being a band is crazy expensive. There's recording, there's mixing, there's PR, there's rehearsal costs, there's the fact that almost every show you ever play is a net loss by the time you factor fuel and accommodation and all that stuff. So when you're doing a new record, there's a whole bunch of shit you have to pay for up front. And it's great that the record sells down the line and you kind of make some of the money back. But most bands, the way that works, they just reinvest it back into the next record. So if a band's got pre-orders up, it would be fucking great if you could consider buying from the pre-order and just helping them get that little bit of, I guess you could call it like startup capital or whatever. It's like it just helps bands pay for the batch of shirts because like if we need to order 100 shirts, so we've got shirts for shows and stuff, we need to pay for them before we sell them. And then if those shirts take ages to sell, we've spent the money already and it's not coming back. So yeah, buy pre-orders, buy advance tickets, support underground bands. Stop paying 170 quid to go and see some fucking shitty, washed up middle-aged has-beens. Like probably not even middle-age, old age. There's fucking tons and tons of great underground bands out there across Scotland, across the UK, across the fucking world. There's tons and tons and tons of great bands now. And there always has been. Like, kind of a bit of a tangent, but I always tell the story. Like, I put on a Welsh hardcore band called Continents years ago, and their guitar player, they crashed at my flat after the show and stuff. Their guitar player is now the guitar player in Sleep Token. Like these small, like Sleep Token a couple of years ago were playing to fucking 50 people in pubs and stuff. You never know when you're going to see the next big thing by going to like an underground show. You never know. Even if they don't become the next big thing, you might just be like, fucking hell, these guys are unreal. Like I remember the first time I saw Ramajink, I thought that I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a small band, in a small room sound so unbelievably big.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Bring Me the Horizon in a pub in Dundee with like 6 people there in like 2005. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
whether you like Bring Me
100%.
or not, like you can't dispute that they are fucking enormous now. Somebody at some point in time saw Metallica play to like 10 people.
Yeah.
Go and check out the local bands that are playing in your scene.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that there will be at least a couple of killer bands in your hometown. Go fucking check them out.
100%, 100%, and that's part of the reason why I started this podcast to begin with. Because, and I don't think I actually brought this up in an episode, but a couple of years ago in 2022, there was this American, like, kind of underground Judas Priesty type heavy metal band called Eternal Champion. They had like scheduled to play a festival down in England, and that got
Mm-hmm.
cancelled last minute. So they're like, "Oh shit, we kind of spent everything, like you were saying, a lot of stuff up front to travel and all that kind of stuff. You make that money back." So they played a last minute show in Glasgow,
Mm-hmm.
and they had Brain Bath, the old school death metal band supporting what's basically Manowar and Judas Priest, which I think's hilarious. And that's when I kind of found out that there was a lot of really sick stuff on my doorstep, technically my doorstep. I live in Falkirk, but in my country, and that's just sent me down the rabbit hole. And we've got guys like Catalysis, Penny Coffin, Sacrificial Burial, Grief Incarnate, Picked, all these different bands that are on your doorstep. And it's like discovering a whole new wealth of stuff. And it's like, this is the best shit I've ever heard when all the big bands are either being complacent and staying level or just,
Yeah. I think the other thing as well is, like maybe 20, 30 years ago or whatever, those local bands might have had the good songs, but the records would have sounded shit because they didn't have the technology. But like now, it's basically a level playing field.
mm-hmm.
Local bands' records sound fucking great. Like,
100%. Yeah.
like you might have seen a local band a few years ago that been fucking absolutely smoking. Then you buy the tape or the CD or whatever, and you're like, oh, this sounds like ass. But like, that's not the case now. I can't remember the last time I really heard a band whose demo, single, EP, whatever you want to call it, sounded shit. Like it just
Yeah.
doesn't happen. So like,
No.
you check these bands out. Picked especially, like we played with Picked in December in Edinburgh. Fucking unreal. Like Scotland's answer to Gojira.
Yeah.
Lovely guys too. Lovely guys. Sacrificial Burial are great. Pete's a fucking ripper guitarist.
He is. And one of the nicest guys I've met for real.
Yeah, he's super nice. He also supports the scene like fuck. I see him at shows all the time. You
Same
know,
here.
what really, really bothers me is the amount of people who preach that people should support the scene, guys in bands and stuff, and then you never see them at a show
Oh,
unless they're
100%. I hate that shit as well. And it takes me a lot of biting my tongue to go, what you doing?
yeah. You see the social media posts and stuff, support your scene, support this, but like I say, you never
Where
actually
the
fucking
fuck are
see
you,
them.
bro? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I
Yeah.
try and go to as many shows as I can. Obviously,
I mean,
it's very hard, but
I live in Dundee. Hey, there you go. Got a dog.
yay, dog! Beautiful
But yeah,
dog.
I live in Dundee. There's not a huge amount of shows happen here or whatever, but like I try to get to basically every single one, whether it's like whether I've got friends that are playing or like just the other week I went down to see Deadfire and Pisha were on the bill. So I was going down to hang out with the guys from Pisha, but I went down to the Metal to the Masses round. Nobody I was like friends with was on the bill, and I just went down because it was in Dundee and it was live music. I like live music. That's why I play in a band and stuff. Like I love it. And I find it super weird that all these guys that are like support the scene, don't support the scene, and it
Yeah,
sort of
it's a
seems like
kind of, it's this weird dichotomy in it where everybody's just trying to like grandstand and get on their high horse and shit. But it's like when it comes to actually walking the walk, it's like, that meme of like John Travolta just in Pulp Fiction, just like,
yeah,
Where are they? Where
yeah,
are
I
they?
feel it.
Is the support the scene in the room with us now? And that's why, and it's again a kind of a big reason why I started the podcast, because I truly believe that there is some incredible talent in Scotland, in the UK. Just it just needs somebody to just like point it, like that kind of thing in like Stranger Things where Eddie Munson's holding the fucking tape. And he's like, "This is real music. You just need somebody to
Yeah,
show you this is good." You know?
yeah, that's it. That's why I think that's times where kind of local bands get the shout to open for a big touring band and stuff are super important because that one show you're going to get in front of so many more people just on that one night. You could play 10 shows to get to that level of audience numbers. For example, we played with Avatar in the Liquid Rooms. I don't know what Liquid Rooms holds, like 600 or I don't know,
It's
1,000,
like a
something like
tiny
that.
garage from what I remember.
Yeah, it's a sick venue, but like if we were to just play headlining shows, it would take us probably 10 Edinburgh shows to fill that same size of room. not that we would fill it, but you know, if you took all the people that were at each of our shows,
Mm.
like sell 600 tickets, we'd probably have to play 10 shows.
Yeah.
We get in front of 600 people like that, and like you gives you the chance to make an impression on those people.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's like that getting people to actually pay attention to it in the first place, and those kind of bigger support slots and stuff are really really vital for local bands, and you know it's a really great thing. So huge shout out to Jonathan from Triple G for hooking us up with most of the big supports we've ever had. You know, Rage and Speed, Horn Lost Society. Avatar was actually DF concerts, but Hamilton Hunter too. They hooked us up with Sacred Reich before, so like you know, but these guys they are shining a light. They're all seasoned promoters. You know, DF concerts used to run fucking T in the Park and shit. But they are like flying the flag and pointing people towards some of the grassroots talent too. But we need more of that. You know,
100%. And that's something I will always champion for sure. Because there is
sick.
so much good stuff. But anyway, I'd like to thank all of everybody for watching. I'd like to thank Drew for taking time out to hang out, chat music, chat stuff. Christ knows, even. Again, new Catalysis EP, Serpentine, drops April 17th, release show on the 18th. Be more shit to come. Buy merch, buy CDs, get dipped out in some sexy threads. That's my dog telling you to pre order. Listen to my dog. Once again, there's my dogs. You're barking at the wall. What are you doing? She's not bright, but she's cute, so it's okay. But yeah, if you really like a band, support them. Even if it's just a hey, I like this on social media. That
Yeah,
helps
you know,
so
a
much more
share
than
is
you
free.
think.
It's free.
100%. It's free and it helps so much more than you think. But yeah, support your local scene, support bands that you like, and don't be ashamed to like them. But yeah,
Yeah,
I've been Draw for Death Metal. That's been Drew Cochrane and a very cute dog. That's also my dog over there. And I will catch all of you on the next one. Peace.
over and out.